This tutorial on electing our bishops is presented by Dr. Joseph F. O'Callaghan, Professor Emeritus of Medieval History at Fordham University. He is the former director of the Center for Medieval Studies at Fordham and a past president of the American Catholic Historical Association. Professor O'Callaghan is an authority on medieval Spain and medieval institutions. He is the author of the book, Electing Our Bishops: How the Catholic Church Should Choose Its Leaders, published by Rowman and Littlefield in 2007.
Faced with the crisis of priestly sexual abuse, the American bishops in 2002 proclaimed their adherence to the twin principles of accountability and transparency and adopted a tepid statement promising fraternal correction. Nevertheless, the faithful are left without any assurance that the bishops will act on those principles. 2 years later, Pope John Paul II admonished the bishops to commit themselves, quote, to creating better structures of participation, consultation, and shared responsibilities, end quote. Thus far, there is little evidence that they have taken his words to heart. At present, there are no effective structures in place that would enable the people to require an accounting from their spiritual leaders. The need for structures of accountability is clearly evident, and the history of the Church points to just such a means, namely the diocesan, provincial, national, and ecumenical synods or councils held from the earliest times. The terms synod, from the Greek, and council, from the Latin, have essentially the same meaning. For the most part, these were assemblies of bishops gathered to discuss and to resolve a wide range of issues concerning the life of the Church, including creedal statements, questions of liturgical practice, the sacraments, and the spiritual life and discipline to be observed by the diverse members of the Christian community. Canons and decrees enacted by church councils, organized systematically, are the basis of the modern code of canon law. The conciliar mode of government characterized the Church from the earliest times as councils, large and small, assembled throughout the Christian world whenever significant matters needed resolution. The very first example is the Council of Jerusalem in 64 AD, which authorized the admission of Gentiles to the fledgling Christian community. In the 3rd century, numerous councils were held at Carthage in North Africa under the leadership of St. Cyprian, the bishop. Writing to his priests and deacons around 250, Cyprian said, quote, "It has been a resolve of mine right from the beginning of my episcopate to do nothing on my own private judgment without your counsel and the consent of the people," end quote. Thus, from the earliest times, bishops, clergy, and people came together to act on issues of common concern to the Church. The great debate concerning the nature and person of Jesus Christ prompted the Roman Emperor Constantine to summon all the bishops to the First Ecumenical Council at Nicaea in 325. The council drew up the Nicene Creed that we recite at Mass. Acknowledging the important role of councils in the life of the Church, Nicaea declared that the bishops of each ecclesiastical province should meet in provincial councils twice yearly. Although hundreds of councils were held in those early centuries, the acts and canons of only a small number are extant. They were sent to bishops in other parts of the world so that everyone might know what had been done. As Western Europe fell under the rule of the Germanic invaders from the 5th century onward, church councils continued to function vigorously in Spain, Gaul, Italy, and Britain. Major collections of canons of these councils were compiled and distributed among the churches of the West. As conciliar enactments grew in number, several scholars organized this diverse body of canons systematically and topically so as to form a code. That was the basis for of canon law until the publication of the modern code in 1917 and its revision in 1983. As other theological controversies arose, successive Roman emperors summoned the next 7 ecumenical councils. All told, there were 8 from 325 to 869, meeting in eastern cities such as Nicaea, Constantinople, Ephesus, and Chalcedon. These were believed to represent the entire church as they brought together bishops from many provinces. Most of them were Greek. The Pope did not summon, nor did he attend any of the first ecumenical councils, though he usually sent representatives and a synod to the actions taken. Political differences between the emperors ruling from Constantinople and the barbarian kings in Western Europe contributed to the schism between the Greek and Latin churches. Theological and liturgical disputes resulted in the Schism of 1054, which persists to the present day. One of the consequences of the schism was that no ecumenical councils, truly representative of East and West, have been held since 869-70. The 13 ecumenical councils held thereafter, from 1123 to Vatican II, were all held in Western Europe and were convoked by the Pope and generally attended by Latin bishops. These Western councils are not recognized as ecumenical councils by the Eastern Orthodox churches because they do not represent the entire church.